Discussing how one prefers to enjoy controlling one's games has always been like entering the proverbial hornet's nest. Having spent my formative years playing games with joysticks, the move to gamepads has always been something I've sort of lamented. But maybe that's just because of all those shooters I find myself enjoying these days. And as I've found myself widening my gaming horizons, joining the catalogues of shooters on systems like the Mega Drive and PC Engine, I found myself really craving an arcade-style stick to get the best out of these games. But as we've all seen, especially in these present times, getting a hold of one on the secondary market isn't exactly cheap. Though, for more handy types, the option to DIY one's own solution is certainly an option. If, like me, you're not quite handy enough for that, there is an option for you. The kits from Monster Joysticks. My interest was certainly piqued as I ordered a kit for both the PC Engine and Mega Drive, and having assembled them and given them a bit of a test drive on a bunch of games, which kind of epitomised what I play on the consoles, it's really time for me to sit down and really show it all to you and see what I thought. Once cracking open the box, you'll see that you're given everything you'll need to put these kits together. The parts include the acrylic panels which form the sides of the case, the stick and buttons, which you'll use to interact of course, plus an interface board, which is really where the magic happens. All you need to provide is a screwdriver in order to screw in those panels, along with a tiny wrench to handle securing the stick to the case. The assembly process is relatively straightforward. At least it was for me, considering as unhandy as I am. The process starts by you assembling the base and the side panels. Mounting the interface board to the lower part of the case comes next. With that out of the way, it's time to mount the buttons and stick to the appropriate parts at the top, then hook them all up to the interface board and bolt it all together. The instructions which are supplied with the kits are comprehensive and easy to follow, and all up, assembling them took me around half an hour per joystick. Though, that was of course a little extended, probably because of me setting up and filming it whilst I do it. I'm sure that for those of you who are a little more handy than I am, probably be a little faster and you won't be filming it as well. With the kits assembled, it's time for that most important part. Firing up some game consoles and giving them some serious playtime. One thing that needs to be said about an arcade stick is that you're certainly not going to want to play everything in a console's library with it. I primarily bought these kits because I wanted to build these arcade sticks for playing shooters and other arcade style games, and for that, they work absolutely wonderfully. Monster pride themselves by using genuine Sanwa arcade parts, and you can absolutely feel them here. The stick offers a short amount of travel, and the buttons only need a light touch to click, which makes hammering them down in your favourite shooter that bit less strenuous. Considering the space considerations of the casing, the layouts do work pretty well, though with the PC Engine stick at least, you might find the select button, which is situated on the left side panel, to be a little fiddly to get to. At least when you want to quickly hit it when changing speeds in a shooter like Soldier Blade, or many of the other shooters which use that variable speed technique. Those shooters were the main type of game I wanted this kit for. There were plenty of other games I found that really worked like a great match. Volfight is a title which exemplifies this, though considering it is an arcade conversion, I guess it's ultimately not a surprise. Even racing games I found tended to fare pretty well. I found myself having a great time with Victory Run, but more importantly, the port of Outrun was real solid to play here. You've really got to put it to the folks who handled that port because the controls felt so right, even on an arcade stick. And you might think it's a trade-off against the original arcade machine, but no, it handles itself pretty darn well in my book. So let's flip over to the Mega Drive side, and obviously many of the same elements apply here, based on the general design of the stick, though it is a little larger a setup than the PC Engine one, if only because you've got to handle 3 primary face buttons rather than 2. Sitting down with many of the machine's shooters really show how it fits a good shooter like a glove. Whether it's a round of Thunder Force 3, or perhaps some Twin Hawk, the short throw and responsive buttons really let you take on enemies for quite a long time without getting fatigued of that much. It's not just a great fit for the conventional scrolling shooter, as I found when giving it a great run with the likes of both the Chaos Engine and Xenocrisis. Run and gun games really do make for a great fit, and when I originally looked at Xenocrisis, I previously expressed the 3-button control mode. I didn't really click with it, but sitting down, playing it on the Monster Stick, the mode works incredibly well, and I think if you're going to want to play Xenocrisis with a 3-button controller, this is the way you want to do it. While the PC Engine stick is really intended just for the PC Engine and maybe some of the US systems providing you can get the right adapter cables, the Mega Drive version of the stick is surprisingly compatible with a good few systems. Starting with the Mega Drive sibling, the good old Master System, which shouldn't entirely be a surprise, at least when you think about it. There's a great variety of games on the machine which work well with many of them. Whether you're taking to the skies to take down Sky Pirates in the likes of Power Strike 2, or perhaps taking to the track, racing the clock and winning in good old Hang On. They all work wonders here, they feel really solid and the controls work wonders. Either you're checking out something a little less intense like Master of Darkness or Ys the Vanished Omens, the stick handles them all wonderfully. I've got to be honest here, and this might be controversial to say, but I really found it to be a big improvement over the original Master System controller. But things go beyond the Master System, as of course, a system like the Spectrum Next offers first-class support as well. So when you're diving into titles of the original vintage Spectrum library, or perhaps taking a look at the well-formed collection of titles which use the Next's hardware power, there's plenty on offer which I found to work well with the controller as well. And yes, even games which rely on the metaphorical horrors of Up to Job feel rather solid here as well. That is absolutely got to be a benefit when you look at many of the games which were originally released on the Spectrum. Of course, I won't really get into it, but if you have the appropriate adapters, there's nothing stopping you using the Mega Drive version of the stick on various other home computers. But of course, do be careful because you don't want to plug one without an adapter directly into the likes of a C64. All up, I'm really chuffed with both the Mega Drive and PC Engine joystick kits. Once assembled, they're very solid in the hand, and the choice to go for proper Sanwa parts means you get some high quality controls for your gaming action. The process of assembling the kits really wasn't too challenging, especially if you're someone like me who isn't the handiest person in the house, and I found them to be quite sturdy, even during the roughest of play sessions. Neither of them take up massive amounts of desk space, and which helps if, like me, your gaming setup is kind of a bit cramped. But even more surprisingly, they're light enough to rest them on one's lap too, for a nice bit of comfort. For me, they've been great to simply enjoy a whole bunch of games with. Not only those I showed earlier in the video, but there are plenty more that I've been playing as well. Some of you might balk at that £65 price. Considering the quality of the parts included and the work done on the interface board, I think it's absolutely a fair deal. The big draw for me with these kits is that they only require a few tools for assembly. No soldering needed really makes it approachable for hobbyists like myself who aren't up to the task. Though of course, for those who might be more handy, the convenience of the interface board might serve as a great convenience, especially if you want to do your own joystick build. But for me, these fit a great hole in my gaming setup. And I am more than satisfied with what Monster have brought to the table. Which leads me to say that if you're craving an affordable arcade stick shaped hole in your life, then do consider checking their kits out. This of course is coming from someone who's just really enjoyed the kits and wanted to recommend them. And with that, I have nothing more to say than thank you very much for watching.